And welcome back to the Lakeland HS Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Rolando. We're here today with some awesome students and some admin talking about the Women in Sports Leadership Conference. Why don't we go around the table and introduce ourselves? Go ahead, ladies.
I'm Madeline.
I'm Gracie.
I'm Alyssa.
I'm Piper.
I'm Miss Haney.
And I'm Mrs. Vieu.
Excellent. Good. Thank you for coming on the show today. We appreciate it. So let's start here. This one kind of goes out to everybody, so whoever wants to field it. All right. So tell our listeners about the Women in Sports Leadership Conference as a whole, and what did you do there? Who wants to take that one? There we go. Okay.
For the Women in Sports Leadership as a whole, we listened to a lot of seminars, and we also had some workouts that were great because we got to get up and get moving after we were sitting in chairs all day.
Always good. What else? Anything else?
There's definitely a lot of emotional speakers in terms of physical and mental strengths in sports, and especially what it's like being a woman in sports.
All right, cool. I was going to say anything from the admin perspective. Not at the end.
I thought it was a really, really cool opportunities to hear from coaches of programs or colleges that a lot of our girls really respect. We got to hear from the Michigan State girls basketball coach and also the Michigan State girls volleyball coaches. It was just a really cool opportunity to hear their philosophy and how they got to their position and the different things they did along the way.
Awesome, good stuff. This one's more geared towards admin, and we'll come back to you. Why do we decide as Lakeland High School to take students to this conference? What led to that decision?
It came up in my email, and I reached out to Mr. Miller, and I said, this just sounds like a great opportunity. It aligns with all of our core values. The girls were able to connect with other athletes from all over Michigan. It was all about empowering them, not only as leaders, but also personally as well, too. And then, I think they'll take a lot of those values and use it to achieve better in their own sport and in their teams as well.
Well, great. I think it was an awesome opportunity, and it only happens every other year. So this would be a lot of these girls' only opportunity to go to this.
Yeah, take advantage of the opportunity when it pops up.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's go around the table here real quick. We'll start down here at the end, and then we'll kind of work our way from there. What did you personally get from going to the conference? What did you personally get?
Well, I would say something I struggle with in sports is, the mental side of it.
Sure.
Seeing all these players and all these coaches, you realize that, you're not the only one who has to deal with this kind of side of sports. Most people see on the sidelines of you playing your sport and kind of your characteristics in it, but not really what's going on in your head, and especially, how it can affect you before and especially after a match, and how much effect it has on your whole life, not even just in your sport and your teams. And knowing that there's girls my ages, older than me, coaches or women who are 40 years old that remember this and have gone through this, it's really special, and it was a huge impact to know that I'm not the only one out there that's dealing with having to compete with other people.
Sure.
Difficulties can be in sports.
Cool. All right. How about you? What did you get?
I would say what I learned was definitely a mental thing. Was that if one person on a team, after a bad play happened or a bad race happened, if one person's negative, it can bring down the whole team.
Right.
It's one brick out of the wall is coming back.
Right.
And so I learned that if you stay positive and you stay happy and stuff, they will keep everyone. Or you can keep more people.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Go ahead.
I also learned some things about the mental game. After maybe having a bad game or you lost a tight one, instead of blaming on yourself, wow, I could have done this better. I could have passed this. I could have made this shot. But instead of having those thoughts, have shots wow, we played really good defense. We hustled. We passed the ball around. We shared the ball. And just having that kind of mental approach after the game is very important, because it can also affect how you do in the next game. And you just want to move on and just have that kind of mentality after games.
Okay.
We did a lot of focus on the negative.
Okay. All right.
Two things I learned was positive self-talk and nutrition and how to like properly fuel yourself. So the self-talk, my biggest takeaway was do you say the thing you're saying to yourself to a friend? So if you're saying something negative to yourself after a mistake, would you say that to your friend? And I want to do the nutrition ones because in the past I've had a lot of issues with like making it through a game. Like I would get lightheaded or I would get dehydrated. So I learned a lot of great nutrition tips and when to eat my carbs, when to eat my proteins, how much like water to intake and electrolytes. So that was my two biggest takeaways.
Nice.
I also went to a lot of the just like mindfulness workshops, and I thought it was really interesting to go to those. And I found it really cool to see some of the things that were obviously geared towards the girls, but I could take into my role, like my personal life, as an adult, but also as my role as assistant principal. And one thing, like a lot of talking about being a trustworthy leader and those types of things and what that looks like and how that's like an everyday type of thing and becoming a trustworthy leader. There was a lot of talk about trust and how to build trust and how to lose a trust and how to avoid those situations.
Cool.
And to kind of build off of what Ms. Haney just said about that idea of building trust, they talked a lot about personal accountability as well as a leader, not only on a team, but personal accountability to yourself as well too, and learning who you are as a player, who you are as a person, and staying true to those core values that you hold as a person as well as a team.
Okay.
And making sure that all of your actions mirror those core values and empowering girls to, it's okay to say no, or this isn't something that I value or that I want to take part in because it doesn't align with my core values, and it's okay to stand up for yourself like that. So that right there was really empowering.
Okay, good. Questions for the ladies here. A couple of you can take it. Y'all don't have to answer other way. But how do you think the things you learned at the conference can help improve Lakeland as a whole?
I would say it's really important to realize that us 8 girls got to go. We got nominated for this event, and it's important that whether we went or not, that we are now bringing it home to Lakeland here, and we're spreading this extremely important information to all of these players. We went, but so many women were there, and so many teenage girls were there, and there's so many teenage girls playing on our teams or different sports that needed to hear what we heard and needed to take in that information, because personally it really changed my mindset and how I want to start this tennis season for me, and I feel that I can have a really great and positive impact on my team, and that they need to hear this information as well.
Awesome. Cool. Anybody else want to add to that? No? Okay. All right. Cool. No, we're good. That's right. Let's see here. We want to emphasize the impact. Why is it important to emphasize the impact and importance of women in sports, particularly in leadership roles? Like, why is it important to emphasize the role of women in sports, particularly in leadership? What do you think? Anybody?
I think it's important to celebrate women at leadership roles because it doesn't happen very often. There's still a lot of this is still a very men-driven field in sports, especially at the toddler level, coaching and things like that. And so I thought it was, again, so cool to have the opportunity to talk to or to hear from a lot of these female coaches who are highly successful in their field, and hear that a lot of them started just like our girls, playing high school sports, playing college sports, and then just hustling for a goal, which was really cool.
Right, along the way. Cool. Good stuff. Are there any, this goes back to everybody, are there any women in sports role models that you have, and why?
I heard them earlier, so
we heard them wrong. We're going to pass it down. Beautiful. I love this plan. We got women in sports role models. Anybody, it doesn't matter who.
I would just like to mention my coach, Coach Mack.
Coach Matt.
From starting my freshman year, it's difficult, and I feel like most of the girls here would know it's like to be on varsity and being young. And, she had a really great impact. And, my tennis career has been difficult. There's been a lot of lows and not a few highs. So I would say, having and to add on to the information there, she's one of the only, if not the only woman coach in our conference. And, having to go out and playing and having a lot of these really aggressive male coaches, yelling at you or having to deal with, their questions and them not respecting you, having a female coach stick up for you and fight for you is really, really important. And I'm really grateful for that. And I look up to her.
Didn't know you were saying coaches, but
You can say anybody you want.
you say like I was gonna say Sydney McLaughlin. I think she is like an amazing runner. Even though we don't run the same events or anything, it's just she's very admirable to look up to as someone who has like all these world records and all these titles. And she like has great attitude. She's not like too cocky. She's not too like horrible person or anything. She's like just an amazing person to look up to. And
Awesome.
I think that's really like admirable.
Yeah, I agree.
Me and Piper would like to shout out our softball coach, Coach Kelsey, that also went to this. She's just a very nice, humble role model. And when I was a freshman on varsity, she just kind of welcomed me into the team, and she was just very impactful on me and still is. And she's helping me through my recruiting process of trying to get recruited to go play softball in college. And she's not giving up on me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Coach Kelsey is great. I love her so much. She is great to talk to. She has a lot of knowledge. I love laughing with her and talking with her and joking with her at practice. And she actually was one of the chaperones at the Women in Sports Leadership Conference. And it was just great just being with her outside of just a sports environment. And she brought us snacks. We had so much snacks.
Loves this.
So many cookies, so much candy. It was great. It was really fun eating that after the nutrition stuff.
Right. And on a season where you're going to give it a season that she's going to be like, no candies. You're going to be on one of those. No, that's funny. That's funny. Is there anything you got out of the conference that helped like solidify some of those qualities that you see in your role model as important? Some of those qualities that you see from the role models you mentioned. Is there anything from the conference that you got to help solidify that? You think?
I would say like supporting each other. We like talk a lot about trust, and it's really hard to coach someone and if like you don't trust your player, and it's also hard to receive the information if you don't trust your coach.
Right.
So
two-way street.
Yeah. So trust is a big one.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that, especially with the coaches and players, and then, with your own teammates, like having to fight through matches or fight through games or any kind of tournaments or anything that you go away for, you are there for each other and not just yourself, and you're there to fight for your school and not just for yourself. It's important to know that you're not just fighting for yourself or to look good or just to win for yourself, like you're fighting for Lakeland, you're fighting for your school, and, waking up at 6 a.m, having to drive far away places just to go out and play a sport that you might be so nervous for, that you maybe don't even want to do, but you're there for them and they're there for you. So.
Awesome. That's great. That's really good. That's powerful stuff. That's good. Oh, Miss Vieu. Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
Just passing it down. So one aspect that they talked about a lot that I thought was very valuable was conflict resolution.
Okay.
So, for example, they would always start the conversation with, what do you want your ideal team to be? And it's like, well, everyone would say, we want our team to be like a family. So with a family, you're always going to have conflict.
Sure. Okay.
If you have siblings, that there's going to be like little family conflicts. And so they really talked them through like how to kind of resolve those conflicts in a way that still builds trust and doesn't build divide.
Awesome. That's great. That's good. Anything else? Anybody want to add? Good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, for the conference, I mean, it sounds like it was a great time. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it sounds like, yeah, that's good. That's great. That's great to hear. So it's worthwhile, which is important. I think that's important to the. I know from my own perspective, I've been around here a long time. I'm glad to see that we're participating in these types of functions, and I think it's good to empower women out there, to especially in leadership roles, to get out there and be a part of what's going on out there and to make a positive change, right, in our school, in our society as a whole. I think it starts here, and you can build it out, as it goes along. So, thanks for coming on the show today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're totally welcome. And thanks to all the listeners out there in wonderful podcast land. Follow us on YouTube. Make sure you check us out. And follow us on Instagram. We're at LHS_GML for Good Morning Lakeland. And hope everybody has a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.